Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And obviously, we just concluded some Battleground testing. I know there's been a lot of Mythic Plus PTR testing now that they've added some leaderboards for Raider.io, to my understanding. There's been a lot of raid testing from content creators that I've been consuming. So I've been keeping my eyes pretty glued to what is going on as far as class changes for this upcoming week, because I was to assume that there was going to be some pretty big ones. So we've got a class update here. Let's cover everything that's going down and what isn't, to see what likely we could expect for the future, considering we have an announcement date now for patch 10.2, which is November 7th. It's right after BlizzCon. So hopefully you guys are pushing towards your end of season rewards. I've been constructing some tier lists here on the channel, discussing what classes are looking strong and fun moving forward into that patch. Make sure you check out those. I'll have those linked at the end of the video. And if you want to make sure that you're never missing out on an update, smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. So let's get started here for Demon Hunter. Any means necessary now correctly shows the same percent value before after talenting into it. So bug fixes. Cycle of Binding now works with precise sigils. Inertia now triggers correctly after using Immolation Aura twice before using Fell Rush. Demon Hunter is looking like an absolutely insane class. I was totally off base with my prediction with my melee DPS tier list after seeing Father of the Flame removed for Havoc Demon Hunter. Havoc Demon Hunter is looking like it could be easily one of the best classes in the game with its new set bonus where it will trigger throw glaives when you're using Blade Dance, I believe it's called, or Annihilation when it's powered up. It's absolutely out of this world. It's doing so much damage. Just want to preface that tier list is going to be needing a final update, a final assessment. Vengeance Demon Hunter is getting massive buffs. Retaliation damage 50% increase. Sigil of Flame with Ascending Flame now reapplies frailty when hit with another Sigil of Flame. Bug fixes that are going to increase your throughput. Chains of Anger now correctly increases cast reticle size of sigils. Developers notes below changes will apply to PTR over the course of this next week. Fiery Brand is getting a 2-second longer duration. Shear is a 10% damage buff. Fracture, Soul Cleave 10 and 15%. Spirit Bomb 8% increase. Soul Barrier Absorb increased by 25%. Fell Devastation damage increased by 30%. And Vengeance Demon Hunter, I actually tried it a little bit in Arena, so like these damage increasing numbers are actually likely to be noticeable for Vengeance, at least when it comes to PvP. So and maybe even for Battlegrounds, with that being the new feature, it might actually be a viable pick. Stoke the Flames damage bonus for Fell Devastation reduced to 35 down from 40. Fell Flame Fortification and Revel in Pain talents have swapped locations. Deflecting Spikes is no longer connected to calcified spikes, and Retaliation in the talent tree. Fixed an issue causing the Emergicil's Dream set bonus to fail to reduce the cooldown of the Sigil of Flame. So a lot of bug fixes, it seems, so far in this one. For Balancer, they fixed issues with Balance's Mastery. Mastery's default damage bonuses now correctly increase the damage of Wild Mushroom, Power of Goldrin, and Orbital Strike, and they are buffing Wild Mushroom baseline. So these are all going to likely be key abilities for PvP with this bug fix. For Guardian Druid, Blood Frenzy now grants 3 rage each time Thrash deals damage, up from 2. It's not a big deal, at least for PvP, I don't think. For Monk, Escape from Reality is now 1 talent point down from 2, so you have more talent flexibility. For Brewmaster, fix an issue with targeting on damage dealt by the set bonus. Fix an issue, so just bug fixes overall. For Invoke Nuzwow, the Black Ox, Dragonfire Brew, and the White Tiger statue from triggering the Emergicil set bonus, all just bug fixes for Brewmaster. For Mistweaver, Clouded Focus now stacks up to 2 times, down from 3, and no longer increases the healing of Vivify and Enveloping Mist before its first application. However, Vivify and Invigorating Mist will just be getting a 12% buff to their healing. Expels Harm healing, however, will be nerfed by 40% in PvP combat. Mistweaver is looking like a total monster in this patch, so and I think there were some massive changes to this ability earlier, so this is probably just rounding that out with some nerfs to get it in line. Your set bonus, Chi Harmony now stores 20% of all healing, up from 15, so buffs to your set bonuses. Your Phaline Stomp is getting a 100% increase on healing and damage, so Fistweaver monks are likely going to be really strong. They really want people to Fistweave, I think, in PvE, and this is going to leak over again into PvP. Bounce Back now triggers after receiving 12% of your health and damage. It was previously 15, and lasts an additional 2 seconds. Unison now heals for 50% of Soothing Mist healing done, down from 75, and Life Cocoon can no longer be canceled. Canceling Life Cocoon early was sometimes optimal in order for triggering Nourishing Chi. In PvP, I don't think you would ever want someone to cancel a Life Cocoon, so not really a big deal when it comes to PvP. For Holy Paladins, Reclamation is now going to refund 10% of Crusader Strike or Holy Shock's mana down from 12, so some mana reductions. Mana regeneration reductions for Holy Paladin. Holy Shock's going to cost 2.8% of your base mana, up from 2.4. And your set bonuses, healing has been decreased by 10%, and your 4 set bonus will now stack up to 6 and it was previously 3. So mana regen nerfs overall for Holy Paladin. For Rogue, now this was a big one. I wanted to see what they were going to be doing. Vigor is now going to increase energy regen by 5 to 10, down from 8 to 15. So a nerf to Vigor overall. Subterfuge refreshes duration correctly when broken on advantage, while another subterfuge is active. So there's bug fixes. Lethality now interacts with Blade Flurry when talented into deft maneuvers. Grand Melee is now increasing damage dealt correctly. Bug fixes to buff damage. Heavy Hitter now interacts with Blade Flurry if talented into deft maneuvers. So deft maneuvers getting some bug fixes. Likely going to be a talent to check out for Rogue. For Assassination, indiscriminate carnage distance to nearby targets is now calculated from the caster player rather than the affected target. Poison Bomb now works with Caustic Spatter. King's Bane initial damage now critically striked when used with Cold Blood. Curious if King's Bane will see play with that synergy. Corrected. Internal Bleeding applies to mouse over target if used from a mouse over macro. That is such a niche bug to catch. Dragon Tempered Blades now correctly applies to numbing poison. So some bug fixes for Rogue overall. For Outlaw Rogue, Killing Spree self-damage is now reduced during cheat death. You were killing yourself through cheat death if it wasn't. Crackshot now works with Sepsis. So some changes to Sepsis. Crackshot now correctly triggers Dispatch from between the eyes for all stealth conditions. And taken by surprise, duration adjusts correctly with different stealth interactions. I really want to see them bring back Find Weakness for Outlaw Rogue. Outlaw Rogue feels completely like a shell now without that. For the extra armor penetration with its ambush builds, I really felt it. Outlaw Rogue needs so much help. It really just needs Find Weakness returned to the talent tree or as an option for itself. So the fact that that's not seen here is very troubling, at least to me, for Outlaw. It would be like my number one spec to tell you to avoid, at least when it comes to PvP. For Subtlety, Ephemeral Bond now correctly increases the healing done by Crimson Vial ability and Soothing Darkness. Okay, so buffs to self-healing for Sub-Rogue. I was concerned about this, and they're getting more. Replicating Shadows distance to nearby targets is now calculated from the player rather than the target. Shadowed Finisher procs no longer incorrectly consume Gorma's bite stacks. I wonder if that's a damage loss as that bug fix. Shadow Technique takes premeditation into account when used. 2 extra combo points are generated from having Slice and Dice active. And Dark Brew now correctly increases damage of instant and wound poison. Sepsis now grants full combo points with Shadow Blade. So a lot of changes around Sepsis. I don't know if this is enough to bring it in. Also, I feel like rogues have a lot of keybinds, and I, at least personally, having played it rogue as an alt, don't really want another one that does damage, another bind that does damage. So I don't know what to really think here about the changes to Sepsis and trying to get that to be viable. Elemental Shamans, I'm sorry guys, you guys are getting some pretty big nerfs. You're probably getting the biggest nerfs out of all these changes. Your set bonus is now going to be granting you an Ellie Blast at 70% of the damage, down from 100, and it's going to grant you 10 seconds of the 3 buffs instead of 15. Your 4 set bonus Lava Bursts are going to deal 65% of normal damage, down from 100, and Lava Burst burn damage is now down to 10% from 15. This is likely, related to PvE, but this is going to be really felt. Like the damage from Ellie without this, it might not be super spectacular, at least from my personal testing in the battlegrounds that I did. They have fixed an issue causing some damage modifiers to apply multiple times to Lava Burst burn effects, even more damage reduction. Further Beyond can now extend the duration of Ascendance up to 100%, down from 150. For Restoration Shamans, though, you're getting a buff. Your set bonus is going to increase the healing of Riptide by 20%, up from 15. And Chain Heal now costs 5.6% of base mana, down from 6. I still don't know if mana cost is going to be the main problem with getting shamans to cast Chain Heal, at least when it comes to PvE from what I've seen. That's likely not going to matter too much, I think, overall. For Fury Warrior, Storm of Swords now gives Slam a 9-second cooldown, down from 12. I don't even know what this ability is. That's how useless it was, I suppose. I don't see myself using Slam as Fury, so I don't know. This change, I don't think is going to have a huge impact. But Fury Warriors, you dodged nerfs on your set bonuses, and you had some of the most powerful from my testing, so that is definitely going to be a big win for you overall. Now, for PvP specifically, they targeted a bunch of embellishments and returning items. Now, ones that were popping out to me were Revitalizing Voodoo Totem. This was an insanely OP trinket to heal with. That was like an on-use heal over time effect, like an extra life bloom. So they're targeting these trinkets before they've even come out, which is good. Nerfing them by 50, 60, upwards of 75% for all of them. So this is a good catch to just try and make sure that none of these effects end up being a problem in PvP, as they had been in the past, where these extra healing and trinket and survivability effects from the trinket slot were, extending matches to like indefinite amounts of duration and really problematic. Now, I was honestly expecting more in terms of changes, given how much testing had happened. So maybe on Friday, when they usually release another set of changes, we will see. But they did announce as this PTR patch had been a release candidate. So this could possibly be the end. So we're going to really stay and pay attention here, and I'll be updating my tier list as it goes along. But other than that, thank you very much for watching the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the update, and I will see you in the next one.